Did you see the shirt he was wearing?
Yeah, it said uncommon or something like that.
That is big high school cross country energy right there, man.
They all do it now. They all do it now.
Come on. In the NFL, what did we just see with Matt Rule?
Sean Payton was doing the same thing with the Saints about do your job and all that stuff as well. Yeah, all the coaches have their little logos.
His name is do your job.
Belichick. But apparently Sean Payton was also doing the same thing too.
Well, they're both from Parcells.
Oh yeah, they're Parcells guys. Yeah, I think this was when Sean Payton was suspended over Bountygate, and they just had like a poster of him, like Big Brother style. And I want to say underneath it said "Do your job." That's why that came up.
Uncommon. Is that going to work?
What?
I have more confidence in the Jets working. I have more confidence in the Panthers working, and I do have a tremendous opinion of Sean Payton.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to work with Russ? This year, that team with him.
If Russ...
Is he going to add water and fix Russ?
Let me ask you this. Do you think Russell... I mean, hell, we did an entire podcast about Russell Wilson not failing. He's never failed at anything in his life, right?
So we did a podcast about him.
What?
And then he failed.
Do you think we put that stink on him?
I'm just saying he was awful last year. He was historically bad last year.
Well, do you think that was Russell Wilson or do you think that was Nathaniel Hackett?
It's probably a combination of all of the things.
I agree.
All of the things.
So I think that...
But I know the number. I honestly know the number one problem with Russell Wilson.
Let me ask you this before you say what it is. Do you think Russell Wilson used last year and is capable of being humbled? Does he have the awareness to understand that Broncos country let's ride became a punchline? Does he have the self-awareness to understand that the photo shoots that he does with the season he's having don't mesh? Does he have that self-awareness?
No, because Russ is always in the world of Russ.
Okay.
And that has always served him well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Understand what I'm saying. Russ believed before anyone else that he could be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Okay. So he's not going to listen to other people, even when a kicker is on a plane mocking him. Right?
Yes.
I'm sure he is aware of what. Remember, the brother reached out to us during the podcast, so they're always aware of things that are said about them and how they're portrayed because they've worked very hard to cultivate his image and his public persona.
So, do you think?
But I don't. While I do think there is a little bit of phony baloney to Russ,
sure.
He in his head. I believe that he believes in his head the stuff that he says.
Okay.
I totally believe all that.
I'm with you on that.
I think he does lack authenticity in certain parts of his life.
Sure.
But I do believe in his head that his mindset is such that he believes what he's saying and he believes to his core.
And it's worked for him.
And again, how he got there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Russ's biggest problem. And here's where I wonder if Sean Payton can fix him. Russ made his bones a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
He was the 2-yard Hail Mary. Okay.
It's chaos.
Russ was able to make something out of nothing. He was the king of chicken salad out of chicken shit.
Mm-hmm.
That was Russell Wilson. Whether he had nobody blocking for him at NC State or third string defensive lineman blocking for him at Seattle, he had the ability to make plays out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden, we do this with black quarterbacks. Russell Wilson, Cam Newton. We try to convince them, and then they get this in their head. I have to be a pocket passer.
Yeah.
I can't be the guy who I was to get here. I have to change who I am to prove to stupid people, not like me, but like Adam Schefter and other pundits that, oh man, see, I can play the game the way that you want me to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
When the truth of the matter is, you got here because you can pick up a 3rd and 7 with 3 guys screaming down the back of your legs, and you can either pivot and turn and make a great throw or take off and run and pick up the first down. When I look at him and I look at his running stats from last year, these aren't designed runs. It's never been about the designed runs with Russell Wilson, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
His strength has always been the improvisation. And when I watched him last year, and when I watched him even in the last year in Seattle, I saw a guy who stopped improvising. I saw a guy who stopped making plays out of nothing.
Yeah.
That comes with age, potentially.
Could be.
You have some of those injuries that catch up to you.
Mm-hmm.
They do. But I think it's what Sean Payton needs to do is needs to sit him down and needs to show him the highlights from his first 2 years in Seattle. And
Well, the problem is you don't know if he's still age catches up to you. Aaron Rodgers can have the same. Not everybody's Tom Brady.
Correct.
At some point, you can't play that way.
And I saw this with Cam Newton.
Yeah,
when he couldn't outrun a guy to the corner in that Tampa game, I saw a person. I said he can't do it anymore.
Nope.
With Russ, the question is: are you just an unwilling runner, or are you physically not capable of doing it anymore? Because to me, that's what made him special. Yes, he's a fine passer. Yes, I believe he's on track to be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
The truth of the matter is, though, he was never going to have the career that Aaron Rodgers is having. He was never going to have the career that Tom Brady was having in terms of longevity because of the way that he played the position. And if I'm Sean Payton, I'm showing him highlights and I'm saying, here's a third down play. Here's not a designed run, but these are the kind of things I need you to get back to doing because this is what makes you great. This is what makes you a difference maker. And I watched last year and it was a lot of like, and you saw the frustration that they had with the receivers and vice versa. So that's the big question for them. Can they get on the same page? Can they put in the work like Sean Payton said they need to do? I don't think Russell Wilson will ever be at the same level that he was because of those reasons.
I will say this though.
That doesn't mean he can't be good. Doesn't mean he can't have a better year than last year, obviously, because that was bottomed out.
We can make fun of Russell Wilson for all the things that he does, and he makes it really, really easy for us to make fun of him. And we've certainly had our enjoyment of that. But the one thing I'll never doubt about Russell Wilson is that he is aware enough to understand that he has to evolve. And that's why I'm really curious about this upcoming season. I put more of last year on Nathaniel Hackett and the coaching staff being in over their heads, straight up. Much in the same way that the Panthers were in and over their heads with Matt Rule. Sean Payton, even though he's got that big a-hole energy, it works for him. Sometimes you have to be that to get a guy on page 2, because remember, one of the first things that Sean Payton was aware of when he got that job was, hey, Russell Wilson's got his own office. He's got like his own guy. And Sean Payton's like, no. And sometimes you do need a guy like Sean Payton to overcorrect you.
Yeah.
But not to humble him, so to speak, to be like, hey, man, did that work for you last year? Oh, it didn't? Okay, well, let's try it my way. Or let's get on the same page and go in that same direction. Remember, the thing that ended up unspooling what happened in Seattle was that he started to think that his way was the way to do it. And they started to butt heads with Pete Carroll. Obviously, it makes it much easier to get rid of the quarterback than it is an aging quarterback than it is to get rid of Pete Carroll.
This is also where authenticity comes in.
Yes.
The teammates have to buy in. Those receivers in Denver, by the end of that year, you saw
they weren't in.
It boiled over.
We saw on the Seattle field. At the end too. We saw
he still had advocates in Seattle. That was a splintered locker room, but he still had advocates. I felt like on the field last year, no one on Denver was like, hey, no, I got it. No one on Denver was like me and you, like, hey, man, I was there at Kenan Stadium. I saw the 2-yard Hail Mary.
Yeah.
I've seen the Houdini acts before. I believe in you. I know what you can do. He didn't do any of that stuff last year. And that's his biggest problem. He's going to have to square that. He has to square that.
I think he's capable of it. I honestly think he's capable of it.
I think he is too. The question is, are you physically capable of it?
That's a separate conversation. I'm simply saying that Russell Wilson has always given me the impression that mentally he can get where he needs to be and adapt to the guy. Now, if it goes poorly, I would be very interested to see how Russell Wilson portrays the Sean Payton experience when it's all said and done. That's another topic entirely.